Hi team, welcome to the Everyone Active podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jo.
Hello, I'm one of your other hosts, Michelle. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Shall we?
Shall we?
Straight off.
Okay, we've got a very special guest today for you. How exciting.
I know!
One of our friends from the EA Series Master Trainer team.
Yeah.
Should we have a drum roll? Can we put a drum roll in, please? Edit team. We're getting a thumbs up from that. Go on, ready to go?
Yes. Welcome in, Aaron. Hello, lovely one.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
How are you?
No, good. Yeah, really good. I'm really looking forward to my first podcast. So you've got to look after me.
Well, be kind.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be tapping into your expert knowledge, your forward thinking, but also the fact that you have been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, because we team today are going to be talking all things HYROX.
Yes.
HYROX.
HYROX.
How exciting.
Before that though, Aaron, do you want to just intro yourself, say a little bit about you, about your background?
Yeah, okay. So I got into the fitness industry 2012, so a long time ago now. And obviously I've been with EA since 2016, so quite a while. And obviously we're going to talk about HYROX and how I got into it, but I've been doing other things before then. You know, you Tough Mudders. It's been like a bit of a journey getting to HYROX. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about that and other things and how I got there. But it's been something that I've been in industry for years now, absolute years. So.
And is your background mainly PT based, or how did you sort of start in the industry?
It's mainly PT based and boot camps. They're the first two things that I started.
So tell our lovely viewers and listeners, where can they find you at EA sites?
So I am Basildon Sporting Village,
Basildon.
Essex, lovely Essex.
Come on!
Yeah, and yeah, that's I work around a lot around the southeast, but mainly Basildon. That's kind of like
It's a
the main
great
area.
site, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very good site. Was built for the Olympics, so lucky to have it.
So passion for the industry always? Have you always
yeah.
trained?
Yeah, I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else. It's one of those things that you do, and I can't imagine being in other industry.
What was your sport as a teenager?
Football. Yeah, football is where I sort of started off in training. I think from there, really, I was like, what do I want to do? I went to college, done a few things. I was like, this is not for me. Then I've done a bit of sport. And I was like, do you know what? I want to be a personal trainer. That's kind of where I want to be.
Right.
Just followed it. I actually went to university to get more qualifications. And then, just went from there, really. So,
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been quite a long journey.
And what was your degree in specifically?
Sport and exercise science.
Nice.
Yeah, and that set me up, really. And then from there, I was like, do you know what? How can I get even more qualified? And I did a master's. So I did a master's in strength and conditioning, and then it just went on from there. More doors opened, and that's kind of like where I'm at today.
Just speak to us briefly about what the difference is between being now a strength and conditioning coach. So it's like an upskill. What is it?
Yeah, good question. So I think with a S&C coach, you're more specialised. And not only that, your coaching eye is different, so you see things a little bit differently, and it's all geared towards improving performance, which I love. Right. So look, I train loads of clients, but if a client comes to me and says, "Look, Aaron, I've got this event this day, a boxing match, or I want to get stronger for this," that's the kind of client I like to work with. Something that's performance based.
Right. Okay.
And I think that's why I went into S&C, really, to sort of tap into that market.
So it's like the goal of that client, they've got a physical event that they need to condition train their body to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my ideal client. If we were talking about clients.
Did you hear that, team?
Yeah.
Did you hear that, team?
Everyone's now getting onto their little EA sites to see where exactly Basildon
Can we book him in?
Yeah, exactly.
And your other hat, so not only are you an amazing coach, master trainer, we will tap onto that as well.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, we're going to actually get you back on another series to talk about
your
the new exciting programme that's coming out.
Absolutely.
Aaron is also an Everyone Active sponsored athlete for HYROX.
Yeah, it's really good.
So exciting.
Do you know what? I kind of like put it towards the team. I said, look, I'm doing quite well in HYROX. What do you think? They came back to me and said, yeah, we'd love to sponsor you. So it's been really good that EA have done that. So I really appreciate the help.
Let's talk about HYROX then. For those of people that don't know what it is, how would you describe it?
Crazy fitness event. No, it's not crazy. It's not crazy. It's basically like they call it a sport for fitness. That's kind of the way I'd describe it as well. Lots of running. You've got to do 8K of running, 1K at a time.
That's me out, by the way. Tap out.
As soon as I say it to people, they're like, 8K.
No, do you know what?
But it's in between, what you do in between those
exactly.
runs.
It's not just the running, is it?
Exactly, yeah. So you've got stations in between. Like, for example, like a sled push or a sled pull, and then you're back on the run. So, 8 times of each.
And this event, like group of 10 people, group of 100 people,
It's huge. I mean, I did London in last year, and there was 13,000 athletes.
Wow.
It's huge.
And is it just in London?
No, all across the world, yeah. So it's pretty
Did
much
it
major
start off in
cities.
Germany, or have I made that
Yeah,
up?
no, you're right. Yeah, started in Germany. Yeah, if I'm right in saying, I think it's 2017.
Right, okay.
So I hadn't even heard of it. I didn't pick it up until 2022.
And how did you hear about it? Just
Just on Facebook.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was on there and I saw this video and I was like, this looks really good. Put my name down. I think it was sold out at the time. And I thought, I won't get in. I'll just train and do my other stuff. And then 2 weeks out, got an email saying you've got a ticket.
Yes.
Thought, oh, do you know
Amazing.
what? I'll give it a go. And then, yeah, the rest is history. I've just kind of fallen in love with it from there.
Do you have to have a certain level of fitness to be able to participate in it, or are there different levels?
I think it helps, but I think it's where the misconception is you've got to be like some elite athlete.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like, there's so many people with different fitness levels, shapes, sizes. It's not about, I think it's more just to get people into
Yeah.
fitness.
Yeah.
So you
because
haven't
you're
got
not
to be
sort of, you're
super
like
fit.
you're not competing against sort of like one-to-one almost. It's for your own time, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
your
that
own
kind of thing?
time. You're in a wave of different people, but
Yeah.
you can just run your own race, and that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
is
And it's
race your own
the
race.
time of year
It's the
now
yeah.
where people are thinking, okay, what's coming up?
Yeah.
What can I do this
Yeah.
year that's a bit different? How can I push myself? Or it feels like a really extreme goal. Can I get there? And
Yeah.
the answer is, yeah, you
Yes.
totally can.
Totally, yeah.
And we've now got the brains to how we can.
Because I was having a look on their website the other day, and basically it was sort of asking you questions to see where you should pitch yourself if you were going to compete, and it was sort of saying, you know, how many times a week do you exercise, and do you run? And I was like, no, I don't run very much. But it was, and then it was so
Yeah.
for me, it was saying I should go into a partner race or something.
Yeah, and that's
Is that sort of like a good place to
Yeah,
start?
there's different categories. You've got the singles, which is obviously it's quite tough because you're on your own.
Yeah.
Sometimes it
Like
can.
you?
You do that though,
yeah,
don't
that's
you?
what I do.
Yeah.
Then you've got doubles, which can be a little bit more, I say, fun, but you know you're sharing that difficulty with your
Yeah.
partner, and then you've got a relay. There we go.
I know.
Yeah,
We
could do it.
Absolutely. And then there's a relay.
You know I'm going to say yes.
Damn it.
I'll hold you to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's different categories. So
Can we just note that though? You did actually hear Michelle saying we could
Yeah,
partner
but to be
up
fair,
and
I
go
was
do-
I was caught up in the whole atmosphere.
It's recorded. Sorry.
Cut. We're going to cut that, okay? That didn't happen. We'll rewind.
Okay, but pairs that we might enter. And what else?
and then and then a relay, which is obviously 4 of you.
And have you only ever entered as a single?
Yes, I've got a couple of doubles coming up this year, but I've only ever done
who
singles.
with?
I've got my friend actually. He's a client of mine, and we're going to Malaga in April to do it. Yeah.
Hang on. Okay, rewind. Are we talking sunny places?
Yeah, sunny places. Yeah,
Oh, I'm in again.
exactly. So there's a lot. Yeah, there we go. Hasn't got to be London. It can be there's loads of cities across Europe.
Oh, I still want to talk about you a little bit more, and then we're going to get on to how we could train
Yes,
people to
yes.
it.
Absolutely, that's
So you're
what- yeah.
saying singles,
Yeah.
but obviously, if I entered or if Michelle entered, you've done this before. It's your field. You're going to push yourself. Is that what makes you an elite athlete in it? Like, how do you get that categorisation?
Yes, good question.
Yeah. So there's 2 categories. There's open and pro categories in HYROX.
Open and pro, okay.
So I've actually done open and pro, but the one that I qualified for the Worlds was in open, which you can do. The main difference are the weights.
What, hold on, stop. You qualified for the world.
Yes, we had to do a World
Very
Championship.
modest, isn't he?
I know.
I'd have a T-shirt on saying that.
They do
I
give you
am
a
that
t-shirt.
athlete.
They do give you one.
Do
yeah,
you?
they do,
Why are you
yeah.
not wearing it every day? Get Lauren to wash it every day.
So is that... We'll go back. So we've got our various 8Ks run.
Yes.
Different stations in between.
Yeah.
So you qualify to be a UK representative and
Yes.
then take off on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy because I picked up in 2022. I did okay, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to train for this. Fast forward to May 23, I've got a really good time. 48 hours later, I got the email saying you qualified for the World Championships. And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Wow.
I didn't know it was a thing. So I looked into it, and fortunately for me, it was in Manchester because it can be anywhere in the world.
Right.
So it's on our doorstep.
Because HYROX is like in 30 odd countries, isn't it?
Yes, it's all
mad.
over.
I hadn't appreciated how vast it's spread across the world. 'Cause it's
yeah.
North America, isn't it? Asia,
Yeah.
Pacific, and then Europe, isn't
I'd
it?
say most major cities now are
Wow.
holding it, so it's huge. And in the World Championships, it's 2,000 athletes out of everyone who go. So you're in some esteem, a company, yeah.
Wow. Indoor
Well
and
done.
outdoor, or is it?
Indoor, fortunately, I think.
I'm totally in, by the way.
Haven't got to worry about the weather. I think that's why I do so well, because it's indoor.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I've done a lot of tough mudders, and I think they're great, but it's very weather dependent. You know,
Yes.
you're having like a day where it's chucking down, it does affect the race, whereas HYROX, they won't get that, which I think is
I think that's a massive great point about the industry that you all get to work
Yeah.
in. We keep seeing these events come out that just start to push people a little bit more, or open up goals to anybody that doesn't train. And all of a sudden goes, do you know what? You can compete in this.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's how you've been able to get your pros, but also your open category.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
for anybody.
Yeah, it's for anybody, yeah.
So this world, same workout that you would do anywhere else, or is it a little bit more to push you guys and gals in it?
It's the same, but I think the whole occasion of it, you know, the build-up. I mean, they do the national anthems the day before.
Do they?
Yeah, it's proper,
And I have another question.
setup.
How many people are there in the world one that you're doing? How many
So 2,000, that's singles and doubles.
Wow.
And I think they said there was about 90,000 who competed worldwide, so you're 2,000 of that 90. So yeah.
You know this like boasting T-shirt that Michelle mentioned? You need to
No,
start.
You need to wear it.
I'm so subtle. I'm really not like that. But it's nice to know that I've done qualified.
It's true.
Yeah, it is.
And,
He is this lovely.
And yeah, you know, it's kind of made me sort of switch all my training toward HYROX now, and my clients as well, a lot of them.
So as you goal for that, if there's 1,000 competitors, what is your aim? Where are we going to be fit? Obviously number one.
Yeah.
But where are you going to be? What's your aim?
So I've got a race end of this month in Manchester. My main aim is to get on the podium. So what that means is when you do like a Manchester or London, you want to get top 3 in your age category, which is obviously quite hard to do. So that's my first aim. And then obviously going to the Worlds in France, which I'll be doing in June, is just hopefully be as close to, you know, that top spot as possible. Whether it's going to be 10th, 20th, whatever, but at least you're setting your bar high.
And what's the community like within HYROX? Is it quite close?
I wouldn't do it if I didn't like that community.
So supportive of each other?
Very supportive, yeah, very. And just everyone's just down to earth, and it's competitive, but not to the point where it's like too much.
Yeah.
It's a nice competition. Like you want to push yourself, but it's not. Yeah, it's no egos. I find in the community. I really like it. I really like it. I wouldn't do it otherwise.
So how do you go about training for this event that's coming up for you then? Do you
That's a good question.
do different sort of types of training, or do you keep it the same, or what do you tend to do?
It's a hard thing to train for because it's very hybrid, isn't it? Running, lifting, you've got to have a bit of everything. You've got to be strong, you've got to be fit.
And it's right that you can go from doing, for example, pushing a sled to doing a run, and then it's totally different in between.
Yeah.
The stations are all very different, aren't they?
Exactly that. I mean, it's good to be a good runner. I think that definitely
Is that
helps.
kind of your base point, that you need to be a good runner?
You've got to have that as a base.
I think I'm out again.
No, we'll bring you back in.
Come on. Remember, we've got steps on how we're going to do it coming up. Remember this about Aaron.
What about a really good sports bra?
Oh,
Okay, fine. Let's carry on.
we're in.
Right, carry on, Aaron.
So yeah, you need to be a really good runner. That's
Right.
going to be a big thing. And then after that, I suppose with your training, it's not to. I think people, what they try and do is do too much like HYROX simulation, so that makes sense. They try and copy the race in their training. They do it too much. So I think that's where like the S&C comes into it. You just got to like periodise your training, work on your weaknesses for a good block, build up to it, and as you get closer to the race, then it gets a little bit more specific.
Let's tap into that right now, because when we opened this series with Rory, who was a fitness competitor, then went into just pure strength training and has now gone, do you know what? I'm going to become hybrid. And I have actually seen him on the stepper, getting his runs in. He was a football background as well.
Okay, right.
And he would be the one, hands up, absolutely could not run for shizzle without going, And now he's totally changed his focus. And so he's changed his
whole
total coaching style.
Yeah.
So if you are starting from scratch or you're switching, where would you start a new client for, or anybody that wants to aim for doing HYROX? What's the base program to start off with?
Yeah, no, good question. So I'd want to do benchmark testing session first to see where are you at, like what do you struggle on. So in the benchmark, you'll look at your strength, aerobic fitness, anaerobic, and then when I've got that data, that information, we know where to start. So if you really struggle, let's say we did, I don't know, like a 5K time trial, or 2K, something like that, and the time's really, really slow, and they found it really difficult, then we know, potentially like an aerobic system, engine-based program is going to be the best starting point.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, we do your lifts, your squats, your big lifts, your bench presses, your deadlifts, and they struggle on all them, then maybe strengths an area we've got to focus on. So you've got a bit of time to work on that, and as you get closer to the race, it becomes a lot more specific. Like I said, it's good to be a runner, but running compromised and running fresh are like two different ball games.
Yeah.
Like massively.
Explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people that have got like amazing 10K time, much really better than mine, go to HYROX and they really struggle because you're coming off like a sled push then straight onto a 1K run. So your legs are completely full of lactate. You feel like you can't move. You're running in quicksand.
Yeah.
So that basically means if you're doing a 10K, you're flat off. Your whole body system is fired into head, heart, lungs, conditioning. You are running.
Yeah.
At HYROX, you break that down into 1K each time. So you're running for 1K, and then we're going to go and get you to do squat lifts with the ball.
Yeah, ball balls, which are horrible. If anyone's done HYROX there, I think they'll vouch for that.
Is that the worst? What's the worst thing to do?
I'll say it's the worst. I mean, I think when I first started, yes, it was the worst for me because I don't really do wall balls. Now I've done them, I actually enjoy them a lot more. But I think starting off with, everyone dreads the wall balls,
And then you'd have to go back to a run after it. So a wall ball team, you've seen the medicine balls that we've got on the gym floor. You have to squat down, and there's a certain height that you have to make sure you squat to.
Yeah, there is,
And then you fire and you push this ball to a target on the wall. The thing being that if you miss that target, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So you might be told that you've got 50 of them to do, but you've got 50 that hit. And if you haven't got very good aim, then you're doing 70 of them rather than your 50.
And also, they're very hot on your technique all the way through, aren't they?
Which I like.
Which I think it makes it much more credible.
Yeah, absolutely. The worst thing you hear from a judge, no rep. You're like, oh God. And I think the first race I must have had about 20 no reps. So I've done 120 wall balls in the end.
Really?
So yeah, you feel awful. But you learn by your mistakes, and that's what I've improved.
The
wall ball's the last one. So the run's very short. It's literally just to the finishing line. So that's the only nice bit about it.
Is it always the same format? Is that always the last thing to finish?
Always the last thing.
Okay.
I think there's been some talk about would they change it, but I think that's what's so good about it. It's like a marathon, isn't it? It's always the same distance. You can always train for it. And I think that's why people like HYROX, because you can get better. You know what to expect.
So if you're a fresh competitor and you're like, do you know what, I fancy a little bit of this HYROX, what would you say is the minimum lead-up time? Well, we'll be your team.
Yeah.
Lead-up time to get yourself at least that you're going to be able to complete it. You don't have to place, you don't have to absolutely smash your time, but you want to complete it.
I would say 12 weeks.
Only 12 weeks? That's
12 weeks,
not much, is it?
If you're just to complete it, I think 12 weeks is enough time for you to get around and actually enjoy it, as opposed to dread everything about it. So I think 12 weeks. Obviously, if you want to be more competitive, it would be different, but 12 weeks definitely,
Wow.
So can you go through the stations that happen? So we already know now it's achievable. Like we've got 12 weeks.
Yeah.
We've got 12 weeks before the next day in the UK. There's potentially one also at the end of the year.
Yes.
So we know that we've got run. We've mentioned wall slams, what are they called?
Wall balls.
Hit some other ones, because I'm sure there's a few that might make Michelle go, I'm sorry, what?
Right, so you've got 1,000-metre ski erg. That's the first station after the run.
You can do that one. That's where we're ski ergs, they're on the gym floor, so we can get the practice in.
Yeah.
Also get your shoulder strength in, your back strength in, pulling down on the ski erg. Measured in distance then?
1,000 metres.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually, it's 50-50. People really like it, some people really dread it. And it's the first one. So it's one of those where you don't want to go too hard at the start. It's a nice pace. You just started the race. I think, you see people going hell for leather and you're like, you've got a long way to go yet. So it's just that nice pace at the start. Then you're back on your run, which is obviously 1,000 metre, 1K. After that, you go into a sled push.
Nice.
So sledge push.
Well,
hang on, how much weight is on the sledge push?
So for the men, it's 152, 152 kilograms. When you go pro, it goes up to 202, which is it's ridiculous. The thing doesn't move.
So you're now on that now. Goodness me.
What's your body weight at the moment, or when you compete? What's your weight?
About 85 kilo, about that roughly. Yeah, I've had to drop a little bit for HYROX. I was normally about 90, but it was a bit too...
Was it?
I wouldn't say too big, but it's just, for the HYROX, you've got to be, the running part is massive, so I just dropped a little bit of weight just to help with that. But
So sledge push, technique for sledge push. So sledge is a big bit of kit, not a sledge that we've got wheels underneath. This is about your energy, and you have to push it across the floor, going from how far's the distance?
12.5 metres.
And you go there and back and there?
That's it, 4 times, 4 lengths.
4 times.
50 metres in total,
So if we're prepping for that type of exercise, what would we be doing?
I think, again, so if someone looks at a sled push, they just go to the gym and just do sled after sled after sled, which is fine, but really you've got to look at what muscle groups are working. Obviously, it's a lot of calf, a lot of hamstring work, so a lot of posterior chain work. So for me, things like, your deadlifts, they're going to get you really strong because that's the kind of muscle groups that are working in that sled. So I wouldn't necessarily go and do sleds every single session. I'd work on the muscle groups that potentially will help with
assist
that.
you do that. Yeah,
absolutely. Like core strength, obviously, always is going to help. But it's a tough one because again, you come off it and your legs are
just like lead, aren't they? Yeah.
But also, I bet your lungs are properly blowing.
Heart's going crazy. So then you've then got to go on your 1K run to then hopefully get back into that same sort of rhythm.
I was going to say, is it the rhythm of it that helps you? Yeah.
Which I think, I said like earlier, those that do 10Ks are really good at it. You can get that pace and keep to it. But HYROX, it just breaks it up. It's really hard to then go back and find that pace.
Wow.
But you can do. The more you get used to doing compromised running, as we call it, the better you get.
And what's after that? So you've done that run, then what's next?
Run and then sled pull. So that's the next one.
Wow. Okay.
With a
Distance
rope.
of that?
Same as I said, push, 50 metres.
And the same, you're pulling the same weight? Or?
No, so the weight, if I got it correct, is 10. I think it's 105 for men, and then open, and then 155 at pro, which is obviously really heavy. Women, do you know what? I think it's, if I'm right in saying, I think the women's 78.
Okay.
For the
did you say we're pulling with a rope?
With a rope, yeah.
So we're staying stationary and we're pulling that sled behind us.
You've got a little box that you can walk back in as well. It's only, I think it's about 2 metre, maybe less than that. So you can do a little walk back technique.
Wow.
Ooh, how far do we have to pull this?
50 metres, so 12.5, 4 times, yeah.
So you pull it, and then do you have to run to the opposite end to go and grab?
And what people don't realise is obviously when you're pulling it, there's a rope on the other end of the sled, so that adds even more resistance.
Yes, of course.
So although you've got the weight, you've also
got
the resistance of the of the rope. So it's quite a tough station. Yeah.
Wow.
Other than avoiding rope burns, technique, planning, how do you train for that?
Yeah, good one. I mean, I think a lot of people struggle with their sort of like upper body strength, particularly for the biceps. Grip work is obviously really important. I mean, if you utilise the walk-back technique, it's going to be a lot of lower body as well. So I'd definitely recommend the walk-back technique to save energy. If you're strong enough, you can just go like arms only.
Can you explain that?
Yeah,
what's a walk-back technique?
So you'll squat down, row the sled, and then as you row it, you start walking back toward the edge of your box, walk forward, grab it again, so you get a little bit of like walk-back distance to bring the sled closer towards you. So that's kind of, you see that quite commonly used in HYROX.
How would you mimic that move on the gym floor if your gym haven't got a sled or indeed a rope to be able to pull? What other pieces of kit could we be bringing in?
For me, I'd get strong on kind of like, any sort of seated row stuff, anything that's like horizontal.
Right.
And get, strong through that. But yeah, it's good. It would be nice if you had that because you need to practice the technique. But if you haven't, you can definitely work around it. I think that's a good thing about HYROX is a lot of the stuff most gyms normally have. It's not like this really obscure kit. But yeah, if you don't have a sled, you can definitely work around that, absolutely.
And I'm guessing the squat walks, cable, attached.
Yeah.
An attachment to the cable machine, load that weight up.
Absolutely.
Practice your walk backwards with it.
Things like that. You could become like quite inventive with it and stuff. But just general pulling strength is going to help anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
how do you train grip strength?
Yeah, so I like to do a lot of carries. That's the way that I do it. Some people do, I like to do carries, or I like to do like bodyweight chin-ups, things like that. I find for me, and also barbell work.
Hang on, bodyweight chin-ups.
Yeah, I mean, I did a few of those this morning before I came out.
Cracked them out, definitely.
I was on that bar up there.
Where's Michelle? Hi.
She's doing her chin-ups.
And also you get really good at it. You go weighted, which then your grip's going to get very, very strong.
Wow.
So yeah, but any like deadlifts, they're going to be working your grip. You're working your grip all the time in the gym. A lot of people don't realise, to grip a bar, you need a certain amount of grip strength. To grip a cable machine handle, you've got some grip strength.
On that note, I see it quite often, is people go too hard, too heavy, and then end up hurting their forearms.
Absolutely, yeah.
So is there how do you coach? What would you be saying to people what's that feeling that they need to get to not annihilate their forearms?
Two things. I would say number one, when you're doing like your pull work, your back work, try and engage your back and not your arms first. A lot of people are very arm dominant.
Right. It's
that kind of like mind muscle connection, isn't it? What muscle groups do you want to feel working? But the second thing I'd say would be like the type of grip you're using. So if you're doing bicep curls and you're gripping like this, and you're feeling like overhand grip and you're feeling a lot of pain, try something a bit more neutral. Because a lot of people, maybe at the desk all day with their hands the other way around.
Yeah.
So they may be quite tight. As they then go here and then load it up, the wrists don't like it.
Wow.
So just for the people that aren't watching us on YouTube, if not, why not? Hello, hello, hello. So when you've got your wrists facing the ceiling, that's going to be more muscular of your lower, of your upper
If
arm,
you struggle with wrist mobility, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
then for aid, wrists face each other.
Yeah.
And then you can curl or pull.
And same like, a lot of people do their chin-ups with their, their palms facing themselves. It's quite a hard way of doing it. Go a little bit more neutral, and it just eases the pressure. So things like that will really help.
Top tip
Very good.
They really help.
Okay, so you've done that station, running again, then what?
Then we're on to everyone's favourite, and I say that with a lot of sarcasm, burpees. Burpee broad jumps.
Burpee broad jumps, I read about those.
This is the one?
I'd be up for that.
Oh!
Okay.
I thought this would be where you're protesting.
No, I'd be up for that.
Yes. It's that insanity and stuff.
It's sanity.
So you're like totally
Insanity.
going for it.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
So just talk about these burpees though. Are they on the spot? Do we have to chest to floor?
Chest to floor, and they're very strict on that. And they're very strict on where your hands go as well. So once you jump and then go into your next burpee, you can't just throw yourself forward. Hands have to go right down by your feet.
Hold up, when you jump, so we're not burpeeing in one spot.
We are jumping forward.
Broad jumping forward.
Forward, broad
and
jumps.
how far?
You've got 80 metres.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
I just
don't look up, that's all I say.
Have to give a little shout out to my mate Steve. Hi Steve, who's absolutely cardio fit. He's a cycle instructor. He could do mountains on this bike. First year went into HYROX, nailed it, loved it, well done. He said, I never want to see another burpee in my life. And I was questioning what I was doing at that moment in time.
It's,
wow.
I was the same. I think when I first started, burpees were like, I dreaded them. It's a mental thing, isn't it? You get to it, and you stress about something you've not even done. But the more I've practiced, the more I've actually now weirdly enjoy it because I've got a certain pace, a certain rhythm that I keep to.
It's the rhythm, isn't it?
It's just the pace.
Yeah.
And it's just, not going, guns blazing and just finding a pace that works for you. And there's different techniques you can use as well.
And I'm guessing for people that aren't a friend of burpees, or maybe it's their first competition in HYROX, can they do the squat down, hands to floor, walk legs backwards rather than having to make it all plyometric and all jump?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you see that the best guys, they're just like, they're bouncing up and down, but you don't need to do that. And also it costs more energy. So you've got that in your locker, fantastic. But I think sometimes that sort of station, the walk back, walk in is going to help a little bit, save some energy. You might cost yourself 30 seconds, but it's not going to kill your race off.
Right.
So I would recommend definitely that to start off with until you get more conditioned to then do something else.
Amazing.
And actually, let's face it, we are all a little bit sick because we could actually burpee all day long and just be like, oh, there's the burn.
I love a burpee.
But just explain to people what's going to happen in their legs.
Because bear in mind, they've just done another run, haven't they, before that?
Exactly that. So by now, you've done your ski, you've done your runs, you've done your pushes, your pulls. So this is halfway through the race now. This is kind of like make or break of your race. So you can either go a bit crazy and then fall off the wayside, or pace yourself and then push on a little bit better.
So we're going to have a huge lactic acid build up in predominantly quads, maybe at that point, once
quads,
you burpee.
Hamstrings. My hamstrings normally fire quite a lot on that. But I try and say to people, when you push yourself up on a burpee, use your upper body a lot. Take the stress off the legs. So I kind of do like a sort of like a worm motion to get my body up and then step in, just to save a little bit of sort of energy. But yeah, that's my technique.
Perfect. So you've done that. Then back to running.
Back to a run.
Lovely.
You're sort of like contemplating what is life.
What am I doing?
What am I doing?
You drag your legs behind you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the nearest water station.
You're calling a taxi at this point. Taxi. And then what do you do?
And then you get to the row. 1,000-metre row, which I actually like because you're sitting down. So you can actually get a little bit of, for me, recovery. That's how I see it anyway. Not saying it's easy by any means.
Is that your favourite station?
No, it's actually my worst. I actually find it really, really boring, but I get recovery. So it's my favourite in the terms of I'm getting recovery, but not my favourite to do.
Got you.
I do find it quite tedious rowing.
Sorry, how far are you rowing?
1,000 metres. Yeah.
Everybody, male, female, top,
so
elite.
I should have said that actually. So all distance stays the same. The thing that changes would be the weights.
The weights of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also I think they've changed it. The women used to do, or the females used to do less wall balls. But I'm pretty sure it's changed for this season, if I'm not wrong in saying.
Wow.
There's 100 now.
They don't need to change it. They could have left it, whatever it was.
Let's get our aims, or else we'll be there with 150 later and we've still not hit that target.
We'd still be there, Joe. They'd be like, we're shutting up now. The building is shut down and you're still doing it.
So rower, so psychologically then, you said you use it as a bit of you're still working.
Yeah, still working hard. I think in my head,
thinking this is a nice sit down.
I just let it go. I just think about other stuff. I focus on my breathing and then just try and get some bit of recovery in because you've still got quite a bit of the race to do.
And same rowers that we would find in a gym floor?
Yeah, they've got the Concept 2 ones, which I think most our gyms normally have, don't they? So, so that's
fab. And then so it's another run after that?
Yes, another run.
Then what you doing?
And then you've got farmers carries, which is my favourite station.
Look at the smile
I do like that one, yeah, I do.
A farmer's carry?
Yeah, with kettlebells, yeah. I enjoy that one.
Explain what a farmer's carry is.
I don't know why it's called farmer's carry, actually, but you get 2 kettlebells, 1 on each arm, and you've
How heavy, please?
So females 16, males 24, and then when you go pro for males is 32, that's quite heavy to be fair. 24 kilo, 200 metres.
Farmer's carry, because if you go back in the day, lugging the hail bales.
Okay, that's what it is then,
That's where it's coming from.
Right.
A couple of sheep on run, milk churns.
Font of knowledge. Font of knowledge you are.
So we've got equal weight on each side.
Yes.
Again, potential forearm burnout, shoulder burnout.
Yes.
Chat us through what's going on muscular-wise whilst we're doing that exercise.
I think, like you said, like the forearms definitely, but I kind of like that because my legs are by now.
I
like in bits. I'm like, give me some pain somewhere else. So I'll load up my forearms a little bit more my core, load up obviously my traps a little bit, just to take a little bit of emphasis away.
Where are your traps?
So up here, the sort of top of your shoulder, upper back, and. From there, I can then just take a little bit away from my legs. They're still working, don't get me wrong, because I'm moving at quite a fast speed, because obviously the slower you go, the more the forearms are going to burn. So you want to move relatively quick. Get to 200 metres and it's just like, I need to get these kettlebells off because your forearms by then are burnt. Quick tip though, before you get into that station, don't forget to chalk up. A lot of people forget to do that. There's chalk readily available. So you can quickly get some chalk on your hands.
Does it make them non-slippy then?
Yes,
so it takes sweat away, or
Absolutely.
it actually physically sticks? I was watching World's Strongest Man over Christmas, and you see all the sticky glue that they put themselves
to chalk, helps massively, massively. Especially when you're sweating, it makes the grip a lot harder. So that would be a big tip.
So that's one of your favourite ones, is it?
One of my favourite. One, it's because that's my background strength, so I love sort of stuff like that. And also, it's one of the shorter ones as well.
Right.
What was the distance?
200 metres.
Oh, it's only 200 metres, Joe. He's peasy. Then you got a little run after that.
Then you got another run.
Another little trot.
And your arms are like lead, yeah. But so you got another run, and then you go into. I would say everyone, barring the wall balls, this is one they kind of like get not scared of, but they find it difficult. Lunges. It's a tough because by now your legs are very tired.
Plyometric lunges?
No, just walking lunges. So no jumps, which is good. Walking lunges, 100 metres.
Okay.
With weights?
Yeah, females 10, males 20, of course, yeah.
In total or in each hand?
Just on your back, yeah, sandbag on your back.
So we're holding our arms up, holding the sandbag on our shoulders, and then lunging.
Yes.
I'm out again. I'm in and I'm out.
Lifting technique, lunge technique, top tips.
Okay, so HYROX are very hot on like your knee has to touch the floor. So you can't do like a half a lunge, you've got to be a full lunge, which is quite tough. And the second thing that I would say tip-wise is don't feel like you've got to do a continuous walking lunge. I have like little steps in between to take a little break and then go for the next rep. So just like a little mini break in between each lunge. That helps me anyway. Because by now, obviously, legs are really, really tired. We've still got a little bit of the race to go as well.
Then you've still got another run after that, and then you've got the wall balls after
Wall balls, yeah. So the run after the lunge is always, well, normally speaking, everyone's slowest run for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then you go into the last bit, which are the wall balls, yeah.
How far away is that marker? Like, how far do you have to throw that ball up to hit?
Females is 2.75 metres and males is 3 metres.
Wow.
It's quite high. Yeah, it's actually quite high. Yeah.
It's high.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you're short, that's a tough height. So not saying
Brilliant.
you two
We're
are.
out.
But
I have to get a step. I could give you a little.
When he says you two
shift.
aren't, Aaron's sitting with his feet on the floor. Michelle and I happy
Dangling.
swinging our legs underneath the chairs. Like, oh heck.
We're on booster cushions, you can't see.
How do you train for a wall ball if you haven't got anywhere to practice against?
Yeah,
like, how
what
do
do
you
you
get
practice
your
for that?
aim in?
Yeah, I think one of the stations that are hard to train for are wall balls because not every gym has that.
No.
But again, I would say do a lot of front-loaded stuff. So if you're doing squats, try to look at doing something like a front squat. So loading the weight at the front because that's where the ball's going to be.
Yeah.
As opposed to be on your back. So that's my tip for that. And also
Barbell, dumbbells?
whichever's better for you. I mean, if you can do barbell, great. But if your wrist and sort of doesn't allow it, you can go dumbbells. You can go like kettlebells, do like a goblet squat as opposed to a front squat. So things like that are really going to help.
Do the definition between what's a front squat, what makes it a front squat, other than the weight. Where have we got our arms? Where's the weight position?
Yeah, so obviously with a barbell front squat, arms are quite high. The bar's across the chest as well. So what I find with front squat is really going to help with developing strength through your spine as well, which I think a lot of people struggle. When you see when people squat and they lean forward, they sometimes struggle with that strength side of things. And I think for a wall ball, you need that. Because the ball, I know it's only 4 to 6 kilo, depending on the category, but it's still quite a bit of weight and you're tired. So you don't want to be leaning forward and wasting energy.
And go back to what's a goblet squat?
Goblet squat, again, like a dumbbell or kettlebell, similar to a barbell, hold it high toward the chest, and that's going to, again, just develop a lot through the quads, through the core.
Love a little
kind of my go-to.
Squat. I love a goblet squat.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I think technique-wise, a lot of clients of mine, technique is normally better as something like a front-loaded squat.
Yeah.
I sometimes think, though, because you and I have both got like a plyometrics background, so we're very used to springing and jumping, and we could do that. And goblet squat, I find I can really explode
That's good.
upwards.
Yeah, nice, with
it.
And if you haven't got a wall ball target, you just get like a medicine ball or a slam ball. You haven't got to throw it, but just practice getting into that position. And that same technique. You don't have to throw it if you don't want to, because end of the day, it's more, I don't think the throw is the hard bit, it's just the repetitive nature. You're looking at like 3 to 5 minutes of squatting at the end. So it's, if you're fast, that's the fast time. Some people go 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
You can break whenever you want, obviously, but you want to get that done.
Okay, so we've finished the race. What's your recovery like? What do you tend to do after the race?
Straight away, just lay on the floor.
I'm done. Well, a big point, you're allowed, there's an audience in there, isn't there? There's like,
it's brilliant.
Cheer team is there. It's like the whole atmosphere of the stadium. You've got people there yelling you, supporting you. Even people that you don't know will be like, you got this,
absolutely.
Let's go.
Yeah, that gets you around massively. The music, the people. Unless you've done one, you can't describe how good the atmosphere is. I've done loads of events. This is the best one for me. The way, the setup and everything.
It's like a fitness event meets music concert.
Yeah,
it's
exactly that.
Yeah, I'm in again.
Go for it. So we finished the event. You're currently passed out on the floor.
I'm laying down.
But then, what is your recovery? What do you do?
So on the day, or just going forward, like sort of
a little bit on the day,
and then
post.
So eat what I want, because obviously I've been in strict training.
What's your go-to meal?
Normally a pizza,
Nice.
I love a pizza.
How many calories do you physically burn doing HYROX?
Oh, that's a great question. I think when I wore my Miser, I think I burnt, it's well over 1,500. I think it was close to 2,000. I'm sure it was, It was a lot.
On a normal
I'm just staring at the camera now.
How many calories do you burn?
Depends on the training session, but normally like 800. If I'm doing a hard session, 1,000. It depends on the session, but you're nowhere near like the HYROX, because the intensity is through the roof. As when you're in competition, you always push yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, of course. And then so you're eating what you want, and then do you do any sort of stretchy recovery? What do you do?
I have a little stretch. Won't be long. I have a little couple of stretches. Then I'll just soak up the atmosphere. Watch some clients who are doing it. Just take it all in. It's more sort of the following days where I'll get on the bike and just do some like.
How do you feel when you get out of bed the next morning? Is it kind of a Lauren, roll me over, push me out?
Hi, Loza.
Hi, Loza. We love you, Lauren.
We hate to break hearts, but Loza is Aaron's other half. Hi, Loza.
Hopefully she'll be watching.
Step back, viewers.
I think the next few days, legs are sore, obviously.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't matter how elite you are, if you're pushing yourself.
Yeah.
I always say to people, like, 100% is 100%.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't matter how fit you are. Of course I'm sore, but it's what you do to try and get those DOMs, down a little bit quicker. So I'll go on a bike, for example, just some low end stuff. But for the week going...
How does that help your recovery? What does going on the bike do?
Just blood flow. Get nutrients into the muscles. That's pretty much it. There's not really much you can do. If you've exerted yourself quite a lot, the best thing really is just the movement is key.
Yes.
Don't just sort
Don't
of
just stop. Yeah,
stop
exactly.
for a week, because that's mostly going to take you a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I'll do a lot of sort of zone 2 stuff, just low end stuff. I don't really have any structure really. I kind of like mentally, I'll just for a week just chill.
So your clients that you've trained for HYROX, especially if it's their first time, what's their recovery look like? Because it's going to be more of a shock to their body.
Yeah.
You kind of know potentially what's coming up.
Absolutely.
And we do have an advantage as people that work in the fitness industry or as trainers. We can find that 100%, and sometimes it's really enjoyable to find it. But if somebody that's fresh off first event, you can absolutely still find your 100%.
Yeah, totally.
But your recovery is so important.
Oh, absolutely. It's massive because, if you don't recover properly, the next, you might go back into training, you've still got a lot of soreness there. You could be at risk of maybe some injury because, your muscles have been pushed hard. But things like sleep is massive. I'm a massive advocate on sleep. Hydration, obviously massively key. But just movement. You need to move.
Yeah.
And just don't feel like you've got to get straight back into training.
Yeah.
Like, relax.
Yeah.
You know, you've just competed. That's a training session and a half, if anything. So you have a week of just doing some unstructured stuff, which I'm a big fan of, because mentally I think you've got to have that sort of come down as well.
Yeah, totally.
And is that always in a plan? Like
Yes.
if you're training for somebody up, that recovery is
Definitely.
in that plan.
100%. Even like a taper before the actual event is going to be in the plan, so they're not going crazy right up to the event. They have a week of just maybe volume comes down a little bit, and then after the event they've got that recovery to then reevaluate where they want to go, look at their race, look at the splits, because you get your breakdown of how well you've done, your times and stuff
on each
on each part, which is really good.
So talk to me about nutrition then, before and after. How do you work around that with people, and what do you do?
So with the clients, everyone's obviously different with their nutrition. I always say to clients, don't do anything too extreme. Don't start introducing new foods and things that you wouldn't normally eat.
Yeah.
It's nothing worse than having stomach problems on the race or before the race.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then you're going to feel lethargic. I do look into carb loading, so just increasing the carbohydrates a week before, not a day before.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think just the night before is not the wisest thing.
And your body system's not used to it. It's not used to being able to process all of that through. And where have you got your energy systems? Are they going to burn it, or are they just going to be like, feel a bit
you'll feel really
too
sluggish
much
on the race day. And then obviously after, try and get in a lot of protein. Keep protein high for recovery.
Why?
Just to build and repair. So you've broken down a lot of muscle tissue now, so you need to build and repair that. Protein's obviously a big, from food mainly, not try and stay away from supplements as best we can.
Why is that?
Just because of the quality of it as well. I'm not saying supplements are bad by any means necessary. I think they're great, but they are a supplement. They should supplement your diet. They shouldn't be replacing. So I'm a big fan of food, of being the main source of your protein, your carbs, etc.
I try and say all the time, and I'll speak to clients about this, is we are living, breathing. Mother Nature's living, breathing, and we help each other out. We can live in synergy with each other. So that Mother Nature production of food, it's going to help us. It's going to aid us.
Yeah, absolutely. But if people are busy and they need stuff on the go, then yes, we look at supplements that way, because we know if people can't have meals at certain times of the day, there might be meetings. So it's just trying to educate. It's hard to get that balance. But nutrition's a massive thing for HYROX. If you get that wrong, it can completely ruin your race, because everything we spoke about, your carbohydrate stores are going to be completely depleted. If you've got nothing in there to start off with, then you'll be running on empty.
When you're doing it, do you have little food stations set up, or have you programmed your body now to be able to go, do you know what, I'm doing it?
I think for me, I've got to a point where I don't need to, even if there was stuff available, I wouldn't take it. But for some people, they can carry gels. You're allowed to carry stuff around with you, so if they feel the need to do it. I think if the HYROX for me was a bit longer, I would need something. But because it's around, for me, I normally get it done around an hour and 5. That's kind of like...
I'm sorry, say that again. You've done all of these exercises and that massive run in an hour.
Well, the hour's the goal, but hour 5 is my best time, yeah. So the hour's my next sort of goal.
This is why he's in the lead.
Yeah.
So good.
So expectation of somebody doesn't train, is following a 12-week program to do it. How do you psychologically train for a time? Do you train just to finish?
Just to complete it, yeah.
I think that's key. Don't look at the time.
Just look at completing it.
Don't look at the time. I didn't look at the time, the first one. I enjoyed it. Most probably, I enjoyed it more, but you just take it all in and you just don't stress. Whereas now, racing becomes a little bit more stressful, but I like that. Just take it all in, and then from there you can get a breakdown of your times, like how long it took you on the sled, the ski erg, look at your weaknesses.
So you can see, I was going to say, you can see your weaknesses and train more for that.
So the first race gives you a starting point. So
it sounds like it's quite addictive as well. Once you start it.
It is good. I mean, how many am I doing this year? I think I'm doing 6 this year. Yeah, I think I'll be 6 or maybe more. It gets very addictive. Yeah, very addictive. Yeah, and I'm going abroad.
What's the spacing in between each of them?
And that's a really good point, because a lot of people do every weekend, let's try and look for one.
Yeah.
You've got, if you do one every weekend, you're basically having to taper every week, so your training is never going to take off.
You're never going to get
So if you are going to plan, HYROXs, it's good to do a lot of them to get used to the race, but just be mindful where you're putting them in, so that you can give your training a good block, and it's not going to get interrupted.
Yeah.
That'd be my biggest tip for people doing HYROX as well. Yeah.
How interesting. We could sit and talk to you for hours.
But honestly, team, email in your questions.
Yes.
You've literally got an elite athlete.
Yeah.
S&C coach, personal trainer, master trainer for a little program that's going to be released in clubs near us. email in your questions.
Yeah, so it's podcast@everyoneactive.com, and
Say
we
that
will pass
again.
it podcast@everyoneactive.com. We'll pass the questions on to you if that's all right.
Perfect,
for
yeah, I'd be
HYROX.
happy to answer, yeah, definitely.
And then we'll put our entry in.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So I'm lying, it's not happening.
It's going to be like those, I'm going to come and do a cycle class.
I sat on a
statement.
bike. That's
But
what.
the difference is we've got Aaron here, so there's now just like not me sitting here saying it. We've both heard you say
Yeah,
it.
I've heard it now, so I'll find out.
Whatever.
Okay, on that note,
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
take care, team. And yeah, honestly, thank you. Look after yourselves. Take care, team.
Don't forget to leave us a lovely review on whatever you view your podcasts on, and we'll see you next time.
And definitely a 5-star review.
Definitely a fast.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.